Hi everyone, welcome back to Goodwill English Academy online class. Today in this video, we will study on a topic materials, metals and non-metals. So what are metals and non-metals? Metals are the materials which are generally hard, lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous and good conductors of heat and electricity. Example, iron, copper, aluminium and magnesium. Metals kan ti hao chu thir chi shang shang kan soi chin hao kha an ni, and non-metals are those elements which do not possess any of these metallic characteristics. And non-metals are the materials which are soft, dull in appearance, brittle, non-sonorous, and are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Hemi metals ina an nei vela how zong kha non-metals how khan aron nei vele thungani. For example, carbon, sulfur, silicon, and phosphorus. So we will explain their physical properties in detail. Okay. Physical properties of metals and non-metals. As we study that, metals are those materials which are hard, lustrous, malleable, ductility, sonorous, conductors of heat and electricity. And as I have mentioned earlier, non-metals are those elements which do not possess any of these metallic characteristics. So let's discuss each of these properties in detail. And the first one is hard. Metals are usually hard and solid to touch except for sodium and potassium. Metals too an sakhat lang puya an cha tula an ke olsam may lawa except for sodium and potassium. And mercury is the only metal in liquid state. Mercury kan ti hi kan metal nei zinga chuan atui ril ang zonga om chun ani ve thungani. And non-metals are soft and brittle in nature. Non-metals kan ti hau ve thunga ro kha chu an nem ema an ke olsam ani brittle in nature mo, and they break down into powdery mass on tapping it with hammer. Non-metals can be solid, liquid or gas. Khang non-metals hau kha chu tu bo te khan han chutala powder form a phut ang te khan ron chuak thei thira ni chuan kan shet le tur chu non-metals hau kha solid a sakhat ang zong pon, liquid atui ril ang zong pon an om theya, and it can also be in a gaseous state. Okay. And the next property is lustrous. Metals are lustrous in nature, that is, they give a shiny like appearance. Metals kan ti hau kha chu an tleser mayani. They give a shiny like appearance. And non-metals are dull in nature except for iodine. Non-metals how kan ti ve thunge ro kha chu an hilbula mai ro chu iodine bi kha chu non-metals kan nei zinga iodine bi kha chu aron tle vele sarani aron tle char awang khan metals ani lawa non-metals thau ani, so there will always be some exception. Okay. And the next physical property of metals and non-metals is malleability. Okay, metals are malleable in nature. The property of metals by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called as malleability. In mu cheu to ka ringa hei thir deng hawa te po hian metals nei hau kan thir nei hau ti khan an han chu tak taka an han deng tak taka atopa chan inge shape shang ten pan deuh ten ron chuak chhin ani tiro. And also we all are familiar that the aluminium foil which we use for wrapping our food, and the silver foil which we use for decorating some sweets, as you can see from the picture. These are all the examples of the malleability in metal. And non-metals are not malleable in nature. Non-metals how ka han chut khatum ve ngot te u, they will form a powdery mass. Okay, an dip vek mai dorani han chu ve cha ma te. And the next property is ductility. Metals are ductile too. The property of metals by which they can be drawn into wires is called a ductility. Look at the picture. Those are aluminium wire and a copper wire. Heng kan metal ni achanga wire kan siam chhuat heina kami a property kha, we call it ductility. And we have not seen a metal made of carbon and coal. Carbon le coal achang hian wire kan siam chhuat hit atuama hian kan le mu bi ka ring lawani. So non-metals are not ductile in nature. The next property is sonorous. Metals produce a ringing sound when struck hard, thus they are said to be sonorous. Okay, suppose you drop a metal coins and a piece of pencil, so in that case you will find a difference in the sound produced, isn't it? Metal coins I drop le pencil I drop khan sound dang asyam de don ani metal coins ani khachuan aritlang don ani true. And another example is back in te pon balkan ne ya chutyang bokin skula te pon balkan ne ni ari khachu in shat cheu karinga metal achang asyam ani awang khan they produce a ringing sound, isn't it? And have you ever seen a bell made of wood? No. So non-metals are not sonorous. Okay, the last physical property of metals and non-metals is conductors of heat and electricity. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. For example, thuka khan chome kha ilo chuang dorani. Tichuan I chuan na bel kha metal atanga siam kha ningi dorani. Cooker te mo thir bel te mo khang ho kha metal atanga siam ve kan nia. And when we light up a flame, they produce a heat. Lum kha pe ni aron satani kha chu ni. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. More. And unlike metals, non-metals are poor conductors of heat and electricity. So the entire chapter contains the following topics: what are metals and non-metals, physical properties of metals and non-metals, chemical properties of metals and non-metals, and their uses. So with that, we have completed the two topics: what are metals and non-metals and their physical properties. So your chapter is a little bit vast to explain the whole thing in one go. So we will study the remaining parts in your next class, okay? So let's all try to catch up again in your next class. Until then, stay home, stay safe, and bye-bye everyone.